Hi, this is Nathan Hikes with the GROWMARK FS Agronomy Minute. Today we're going to be discussing enhanced efficiency nitrogen products and their modes of action. Nitrogen is probably the most commonly used fertilizer in most of our crops, and it's most critical to getting good yields. Now, the trouble is a lot of bad things can happen when we apply our nitrogen fertilizer. As football coach Woody Hayes said, 3 things can happen when you pass and 2 of them are bad. Yet teams throw the ball a lot because there's a huge upside. Well, the same is true with applying nitrogen fertilizers. We can lose it in a lot of different ways, but our need for nitrogen is so critical that we have to find a way to make it work. So we've got a couple of key ways that we can lose our fertilizer and a few ways that we can prevent that. So our main loss pathways are above ground and below ground. If we're looking at above ground loss, that's volatilization. So we get that when we use urea-containing fertilizers like urea or UAN. And when that gets transformed by urease bacteria, it first becomes ammonia. Now, ammonia is a gas, so we can lose that right off into the atmosphere. If we can get this incorporated into the soil and there's some moisture, the ammonia goes immediately to ammonium, which will stay stable in the soil. So the problem we have is when this occurs on the soil surface. Now, if we can apply our nitrogen right before at least 2-inch incorporation, or before at least a 1/2 inch of rain, we'll get that incorporated down and it's not an issue. If we don't have that, then we need to stabilize this nitrogen and keep it in the urea form long enough to get it incorporated. So that's where we have these urease inhibitor products such as Agritane, NBPT, and Anvol. So the NBPT is the active ingredient of Agritane, and it's available in a lot of different brand names, and then Anvol is the next step in efficiency. So it prevents the urease enzyme from working and converting that urea so it stays in the urea form and is stable until you get that incorporation. And this is really critical because so much of that loss on the surface happens in the first 24 to 48 hours of application. So we really want to have that stabilized if we're using any kind of urea fertilizer. Now, once our nitrogen is underground, it's still not safe because we have below ground loss pathways of denitrification and leaching. Now, denitrification and leaching are only a problem when our nitrogen's in a nitrate form because it's not held as tightly to the soil particles. As long as our nitrogen's in the ammonium form, we're in good shape. So therefore, we've got these nitrification inhibitors that prevent the nitrous ammonium bacteria from converting ammonium to nitrate or nitrite, which then immediately goes to nitrate. So these are things like Instinct, which totally puts that bacteria to sleep, then Centuro and DCD, which prevent the active site that converts the ammonium to the nitrite from working. It blocks that. So any of these products are going to keep our nitrogen in that ammonium form where it's going to be more stable in the soil, less subject to loss, but still available for plant uptake. Now there are a number of, they call them dual mode of action products that combine one of these with one of these so that we can have both protection from volatilization and from leaching and denitrification. Now, a third way we can protect our nitrogen is by making it available slowly. Instead of it all being available at once where a large portion of it can be lost, if it's available very slowly, we can't have a lot of potential for loss. So we call these slow-release nitrogens. So on the dry form, we have ESN and Perform, and those are generally a urea granule that's coated in a slow-release polymer that will only allow the urea to come out into the soil slowly with moisture, time, and heat. If we're looking for liquid, there are methylated urea products that have individual urea molecules chained together so that that chain has to be broken before they're subject to loss. An example of this would be Flexin. Now, stabilizing our nitrogen is absolutely critical for our nutrient management implementation, so we can actually make a good rate recommendation because we know exactly how much nitrogen is going to be available to our crop because we're not losing it to the environment. Here at GROWMARK FS, we do a tremendous amount of research in nitrogen stabilizers and other 4R nutrient management practices because we're passionate about delivering the products to the growers that are going to help make them profitable in the long term, as well as make environmentally smart decisions. So if you're interested in improving your nutrient use efficiency, and especially in using some kind of enhanced efficiency nitrogen, please check out your nearest GROWMARK FS location or salesperson today.